Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat for Career Mode. This time an actual episode of the Career Mode here for the start of our new chapter of our Cup Series career here with Chip Ganassi racing in the 42. In the Daytona 500 last season, Kyle Busch won the championship in Miami after stealing away the championship actually away from Denny Hamlin in Miami after Hamlin dominated. Over the offseason, Kyle Larson has been doing some dirt racing that we're going to check up on him throughout the season to see how he's doing. Obviously, now is a very well could think that we're going to see Kyle Larson back in the Cup Series next season in our career mode, but we come through straight into the Daytona weekend here with our new team of Chip Ganassi Racing, our first team change of our Cup Series career going into season number 4. Obviously, we get ready going into the speed weeks here in Daytona. I wanted to try and implement a clash in the duels this time around, but once again, timing just didn't work out. But we got going here with practice in Daytona. As this week went on, I felt like we were going to have a decent amount of speed in qualifying. I wouldn't put a full setup in for our qualifying setup at least, and now as came through heading down this front straightaway now a little bit later in practice. I was stretching out the tires and whatnot to see how long we could go, and as I came through the tri-oval I actually blow a tire there through the tri-oval. We get a little bit airborne, smash into the outside wall and do some heavy damage to the front end of the car, and that was the end of our primary car. So obviously we would be forced to a backup car already early in speed weeks here for the Daytona 500 weekend. Definitely unfortunate to lose a car like that. That was definitely a heavy crash, but we would go through and get ready to get into qualifying here for the Cup Series. Obviously, the trucks and Xfinity still to come. I just decided to kind of change things up and show practice and qualifying first, kind of how it works like in real life. You're going to see a lot more of the truck races this season and the Xfinity Series. I want to go a little bit more in depth, like I said, and try to just kind of make the Truck Series and Xfinity Series a legitimate thing here in our career mode. Now, as we came through on our second lap of qualifying, heading down this front straightaway for the Daytona 500 now. For our first time in the 42 car, instead of 40th, we're going to come through to cross the line with a 45.762. We go P34, what you guys saw on the April Fool's Day video now. So very solid qualifying effort from us. I was very happy with that. And there you see Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney all at the bottom of the order here for Daytona 500 qualifying. And on the pole, it is going to be Ryan Preece. A bit of a surprise, a bit of an upset, but now we come through into the actual race weekend now where we had the Truck Series getting ready to go. Obviously, we switched over to Chevrolet this season and everything, so we don't have Haley Deegan and Greg Biffle back in our truck anymore on the Ford side. Now we actually are going to mix it up a little bit this season. For this race right here, we have Formula One driver Lando Norris. Obviously, Lando Norris is an incredible personality in Formula One, and I decided we're going to have Lando Norris in the truck here for Daytona as he went down towards turns 1. So we're going to have quite a few drivers in the Truck Series. The Truck Series is going to be all for real drivers, and then obviously the Xfinity Series is still going to be for subscribers that want to get in. I made a community post for newer subscribers that haven't entered their name to get into the name chooser. If you guys want a chance to get in to the Xfinity car throughout this season. But Lando was actually working his way through the field as this race went on, just kind of running that bottom lane throughout the most of this race. I didn't have draft partners on for Truck Series or Xfinity Series, but I did have them on for the Cup Series race because last time we did a plate track at Talladega, the draft partners was on, and it was one of the most wild plate track races we've had now as Lando continued to just run this bottom lane as the race went on, moving his way forwards now as he was past Natalie Decker, Jordan Anderson, and whatnot there, as he was now just passing Jordan Anderson actually as he went down into turn 3. Now at this point, past the midway point here in Daytona, everyone was keeping things clean, so it wasn't an issue as he came through turn 3 and turn 4, making some 3 wide moves. Lando was starting to get used to running in the Truck Series at this point at Daytona. We could see him maybe back in the series in our truck in the Canada race weekend later this season, but now we came through right to the final lap here of Daytona. Lando makes a move into the top 5. He's up to P4 now, just behind Austin Hill in the number 16 Toyota as he came through out of turn. So I hope you guys do like the new paint scheme we got on the truck this season. Number 25, I changed up the number instead of 02. It is still 02 though in the Xfinity Series as we go down this back straightaway for the final time. Lando would make the pass to take P3 from Austin Hill, and then we got Harrison Burton on the outside, but he's going to chop the nose of the Canadian of Stuart Friesen in turn 3 and turn 4 on this final lap here in Daytona. Can Lando Norris, the British driver, come through to win here in Daytona? It doesn't look like it's going to happen as he comes down this front straightaway for the final time. He looks to the outside of Stuart Anderson, and as it comes through the tri-oval, it'll be Harrison Harrison Burton, who would win. Lando Norris in P3, 3 different nationalities in the top 3, American, Canadian, and then obviously British now in the top 3, so that's certainly a cool little moment there for the sport. Now, as you see the finishing order, we would get ready though to go into the Xfinity Series race here in Daytona with, once again, a newly refreshed team here, still with the number 02 though on the car, but a new sponsor actually. Rheem will be on our car throughout this season. And for this Xfinity Series race, we had subscriber JC Gabriel in the car. Obviously, like I said, we're going to continue the subscribers in the Xfinity car throughout the season. I did get a suggestion to maybe make the numbers white on the car, so I'm thinking that I might actually do that, because the red just, I don't know what to think about the red so far yet. It looks cool to me, but we'll see what shapes up here in the next coming races. But unfortunately, we started at the back of the field, Daytona, of course. Obviously, we were able to qualify 34th in the Cup Series, but I didn't really run a custom qualifying setup or anything here for the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series in qualifying. Now, as like I said, we're going to be running the preset setups in the race for the Daytona 500 in the Cup Series, because just running a custom setup, a full-on custom setup in most races in this game is just completely unnecessary. You'll blow the field away. Other than a track like ISM or Phoenix Raceway, sorry, that's really one of the only tracks I've run a full-on custom setup now. As we go down at this point into turn 3, JC Gabriel continuing to move his way forwards. He had passed Elliott Sadler in the number 10 there as it came through up the inside of BJ McLeod in the number 78, but like I said, he just kind of did the same strategy as Lando Norris did in the Truck Series. He just kind of ran that bottom lane and was surely enough moving his way forwards as this race went on. Now, as he actually got into the 18 there, Jeffrey Earnhardt through the tri-oval, nearly cleaning him right out, but thankfully they would keep it straight, and JC continued to move his way forwards and got past Jeffrey Earnhardt. Jeffrey Earnhardt is one of our Xfinity Series rivals, actually, and that's why they got together now as it came through. At this point now, JC making a pass on the 23 of John Hunter Nemechek, getting under the 22 of Austin Cindric with a very questionable move there under that double yellow line. It was a very close call to make, but NASCAR deemed it to be legal now as it came through up the inside of the 19 of Brandon Jones. Now as it came through all the way to the final lap at this point, he was just zooming here on this bottom lane with that draft, getting past the 2 of Tyler Reddick, right up to the back of the 39 of Ryan Sieg. He tries to make a move on the outside to get past Sieg, but losing that draft obviously eliminated, unfortunately, that chance now as it came through out of turn 2, heading down this back straightaway for the final time. He would get up the inside now of Ryan Sieg as he was trying to use the draft from the number 5 of, I believe that is Matt Mills, up there in P3. Lando Norris finished in P3 at Daytona for us to start the season off in the Truck Series very well, and now JC Gabriel is P4 right behind the number 5 as he comes through out of turns 4 on this final lap. He looks to the outside as he goes down this front straightaway, and he's going to use the draft from the 20 of Christopher Bell, and he's going to take P3 away. Coming to the line, Justin Allgaier wins in Daytona, and we finish P3 in both the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. So very strong start once again, kind of like last season. We had a strong start in both Trucks and Xfinity, and then the rest of the season was kind of lackluster. So we'll see what we can do now as we get ready though for the Daytona 500 weekend for the first time in the 42.
We're live from Daytona International Speedway for today's running of the Great American Race. Another season of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup racing is about to get underway. The drivers are in their cars and the sold-out crowd is on their feet. It's time for NASCAR racing.
All right, thank you, Rick Allen. We're ready to get going here for the Daytona 500, our 4th attempt at this prestigious race here, but our first attempt with Chip Ganassi Racing. Obviously, the previous 3 were with the 41 car and Stuart Haas Racing, and obviously it's going to be really cool to have this little change-up. I think it was a much-needed change, and now as we obviously didn't have the end of the season we wanted last season, as Miami didn't go quite our way, but either way, now that's the pass. We are now underway here for the Daytona 500. This next chapter of our Cup Series career is green now from the 34th starting position here behind the 96 of Parker Kligerman there in the Toyota now, as Clint Boyer, one of our past teammates, is behind us, as well as Kevin Harvick. Ryan Blaney's back there. So some big names behind us, so we're not the only one obviously towards the back. We come into the season with I think 11 or 12 wins in our Cup Series career it was. You saw the stats at the start of the video, and hopefully we can get another 4 or 5 wins this season. We got 5 wins last season in the Cup Series, and we were really hoping to cap it off with a championship in Miami. Denny Hamlin was a clear deserving champion last season. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. And then I think the one season where Kyle Busch didn't deserve the championship, he finally goes and wins it, because he was probably going to win it in season 1 and 2, and he lost them both. Now as it came through out of turns 4 now on this first and opening lap of Daytona. Now as we we got some help from behind of the 43 of Bubba Wallace. Now as we would get up the middle between Menard and Jamie McMurray, we would pass Menard, and now up to P31 at this point here, just behind Kligerman. Obviously looking for a chance to get down to that bottom lane, and we got that just behind Corey LaJoie here on this second lap. So I would just kind of follow Corey LaJoie as we came through now towards the end of lap 2. We would actually make a 3-wide move of the inside of the 32 and the 71 of LaJoie and Ryan Truex. Now as we also look to the inside of Tyler Reddick as we come through across the line with 12 to go on the stage. And there you see our car from last season and from our first 3 seasons, the 41, now driven by Daniel Suarez, his first race back in a long time since he got booted out of the 19 car. So obviously really nice to see Daniel back here now as we would actually get to the inside of him, pass him, and as we just kind of continued running this inside lane, kind of like we were doing in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series and whatnot, and we had now moved ourselves up inside the top 25 as we came through with just 11 laps to go here in this first and opening stage. Now we're going to get a little bit aggressive there, making it 3 wide up the inside of Cody Ware as we go down into turns 1, trying to use that draft from David Reagan to pull myself ahead of that Ford Mustang on my outside. Obviously we drove a Ford in every season so far, except for now where we are in a Chevy for the first time as we come through out of turns 4. I don't have a manufacturer preference personally. I think manufacturer wars are really dumb. I think all I care about is what the car looks like in my personal opinion. But here you see on lap 6, we get aggressive. They're going to the outside of Matt DiBenedetto as we go down into turns 1, trying to make the pass on him, and unfortunately it kind of stalls out there, but we would kind of continue to use that draft on this outside lane. We come through now on lap 8 of 14 in the first stage, running just behind the 34 of Michael McDowell as we go down into turns 3, and then we get a caution for the first time here this season and for the first time today in Daytona. Kyle Busch starting the season off very well. He leads the race currently at the time of the caution, obviously fresh off of his second Cup Series championship now as we would start on this inside lane here from P15 for the restart. Chase Elliott for Hendrick Motorsports there just in front of us now as we are once again underway, and for some reason we get a terrible restart. It's like that glitch we used to have a couple seasons back, right when you would touch a car after a caution came out, your car launched off really slowly, and this is terrible timing for this to happen because we only got 3 laps to go on the stage, and now it looks like our chances at stage points probably just got wiped away from us now as we come through turns 1 and 2. There you see the 4 of Harvick goes by, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. goes by, the 40 of Damian McMurray also goes by now as we run P26 down this back straightaway, but thankfully we finally get up to speed, but haven't had that happen to us in quite some time. I'm just happy that it happens now instead of potentially on like a final restart or something as we go down towards turn 3. Kyle Busch leading the way there as you can see up in the distance. William Byron, Joey Logano up in the mix for that lead position here as we close in towards the end of this first stage here in Daytona. Logano leads that bottom lane with the help from the 47, it looked like, of Ryan Preece there just behind him as we came through, crossing the line, hitting 2 to go on the stage as I just continued to run the bottom lane at this point, knowing it was going to move us forwards now as we get to the inside of the 4 of Kevin Harvick, our former teammate, obviously still looking for his second championship here in the Cup Series now as we came through, heading towards the white flag. At this point I decided to get extremely aggressive and go 4 wide through the trial there as we can make a lot of contact with Truex, and that thankfully does not crash anybody as we start this final lap in the stage. Suarez kind of gets the short end of that one now as we go down into turns 1 on this final lap of the stage. Last time I think I tried to make a 4 wide at Daytona, I ended up on my roof in NASCAR Heat 3 career mode, but thankfully we would clear Martin Truex Jr. and we would take over P21 obviously on this final lap in stage 1. Joey Logano leads, and it doesn't look like we're going to get stage points, but we're going to go to the inside now of the 36 of Matt Tipp, but there's trouble ahead, smoke up on the outside lane. The caution comes out, and it's actually for our brand new teammate of Kurt Busch, who has a tire going out right now. So that would bring out a caution half a lap or so early, and Joey Logano wins the stage. We would pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, no stage points in the stage, but we gained 2 spots on the pit lane to get ready to go green here from P18. Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champ, lines up right in front of us here for the start of the second stage. You gotta wonder now, how many seasons does he have left in our NASCAR Heat for career mode? Obviously, he got 1 win last season in our career mode there at Auto Club when I kind of just tried to help him to victory, but obviously he made it work. But he does not get a great launch, and I decided to be aggressive here and go up to the outside of him as I saw an opportunity arise, and it obviously died pretty quickly. William Byron and myself all of a sudden are in the same position as I regretted that instantly as I pulled to the outside. Kurt Busch, our teammate, still in this race now. Obviously, he was the one that just brought out the caution here to end that first stage, so now we're looking for an opportunity to get back down to that bottom lane now as we have help from Kevin Harvick actually coming from behind as we go down towards turns 3, but thankfully at this point we are now all in line together just behind the one of our teammate, Kurt Busch. Very nice to be linked up with our teammate, but the way these plate races go, it's definitely going to be hard to stick with our teammate, Kurt Busch. I wanted to try and help him out at this point and see if we could just kind of create a tandem as we came through this trial, completing the first and opening lap of the second stage. Now, as you can see, the inside lane just flying past us. Daniel Suarez up to my inside as we go down into the corner, so obviously not the lane we want to be in, so we would indeed get down to the bottom lane. We left our team at a Kurt Busch now, as this was now already on lap 5 of the stage, and we had gotten to the inside of Ryan Blaney up in P25 at this point, though. So far this race definitely hasn't gone the way we wanted it to. Now as we come through turns 1 and 2, not the opening race we're looking for so far with Chip Ganassi Racing. Now as we get linked up with the 21 of Paul Menard, and we came through now on lap 6 of 13 in the stage. I tried to go to the outside of him, hitting him in the bumper there, and that kind of gave him a little bit of a boost, unfortunately, with 7 laps to go on the stage. So I would have to fade in once again behind Paul down into turns 1. But now as we came through, approaching lap 9 of the second stage, we have a very sizable run on the back of the 21 of Paul Menard, so we're going to take the opportunity, get to the inside of him, make it 3 wide with him and Corey LaJoy as we go down in through the corner. Now as you see Austin Dillon up on the outside. Austin Dillon has just been a flop in our career mode. He's never really been in the mix for anything, I don't think. I don't know if he's won or not in our career mode. If he has, I don't remember it, that's for sure. Now as we came through, closing in now on a top 10 position. Then I would decide to actually go and help the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Obviously, Denny Hamlin, one of my favorite drivers in the Cup Series. Now as we come through turn 3, but we would eventually get down to the inside lane, coming through now to the final lap of the stage up to P11, looking for at least 1 point in this stage now as we come through the trial, taking over P10 from Hamlin, but being on this outside is a little bit concerned, so I go to the outside of David Reagan now as we come through down towards turns 1, making it 3 wide as we go into the corner with him and BJ McLeod as we try to take the position, but it's all single file pretty much in front of us, and Bubba Wallace was actually leading at this point as we get into the wall. Sorry, that's not the 43 of Bubba Wallace, that's the 37 of Chris Buescher now as we come through down this back straightaway. Thankfully, we had help from behind there with a draft partner of David Reagan because it hit the wall and it slowed us up quite a bit now, and it was Joey Logano actually who would take the lead here on this final lap of the second stage as we come through turns 3 and turn 4, right behind the 38 now at this point of Reagan as we get into the back of him on the exit of the corner. But Joey Logano won the first stage, and he's going to come through to win stage 2 as we're going to come through to get P10 here in the second stage. So 1 point in the stage is definitely not good enough. But obviously it's Daytona, anything can happen, so we'll see what happens in this third and final stage now as we get ready to go green. We would obviously pit for 2 cans of fuel and 4 tires. No really adjustments needed as it's Daytona. I could have maybe turned the tire pressures up, but I did not want to do that. Now as we would gain 2 spots to get ready to go green from P8. Stenhouse starts just in front of us now as Jamie McMurray joins him up there as well. Now as the green flag is out, Joey Logano lost the lead on the pit lane here to start the third and final stage. So the lead belongs to Joey Gase here in Daytona. Joey Gase has actually done well at plate tracks in our career mode so far, so we could look to see him up there in the final few laps. Daniel Suarez up there in P3 as we go down into turns 1. Bowman on my inside now as behind us we got BJ McLeod. I was kind of swerving all over the place there as I did not know how to drive through the center of the corner, obviously. Now as we come through down this back straightaway, 18 laps to go at this point, approaching 17 to go as we go down this back straightaway for the first time in this final stage. Obviously, we want to get down to that bottom lane as quickly as possible if we want a chance to win our first Daytona 500 here in our Cup Series career. Side drafting the 38 a little bit there, but didn't quite work too much there as I get into his right rear just a little bit. Obviously, we came together with David Reagan at the end of stage 2 as I was actually 3 wide with him in turns 1, and I just drove right into the side of him, unfortunately, there. As we complete, though, that first lap of the stage, Daniel Suarez up to P2. Suarez trying to be the leader here in Daytona as we go down into the corner, just still looking for that opportunity to get down to that bottom lane, but Paul Menard currently keeps us from being able to do that, and then you see Parker Kligerman also getting into the mix as well, so it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get to the bottom lane anytime soon at this point, as we're just kind of linked up right now with the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. there, but eventually we would just kind of make this outside work, and then I decided to kind of deke out the 17 of Stenhouse, a little bit of contact with him and Paul Menard, but I deked right, deked back to the left. There's a little bit of hockey terminology. I'm Canadian, so you got to expect that now as we go down towards turns 1 now, but thankfully we get past Stenhouse, and eventually now as we came through on lap 36, we would have an opportunity to get down to the bottom bottom lane here in P8 now as we had a clearing behind us. We got Brad Keselowski in the mix, but Daniel Suarez was still running P2 just behind the 66 of Joey Gase, who continued to lead the way at this point now as we came through now on lap 37, continuing to run this bottom lane behind Chris Buescher. Some drivers decided they would go to the top. Alex Bowman, David Reagan, Joey Logano all up to the top, and then we're going to make it 3 wide with Buescher and Logano as we go down through turn 3, and all of a sudden we're going to find ourselves in P4 as Daniel Suarez actually takes the lead on this front straightaway. So Suarez, in his first race back, replacing myself, leads here in Daytona, which is something I can rarely do. So he's already doing more than I am in the 41 car. It looks like as we get past the 66 of Joey Gase, go up the inside of Paul Menard there through turns 1 and 2, and all of a sudden the 41 and the 42 are P1 and 2. Kind of a neat little moment right here as the car we left is leading just in front of myself. Now as we came through on lap 38, closing in towards the back of Suarez, but the caution comes out with 13 laps to go here in Daytona. Obviously, I was a little bit scared about the strategy, but obviously we didn't need tires. It's Daytona, so I was just going to take no tires no matter what. But we would need a little bit of fuel, so I put half a can of fuel, and we have 1 extra lap there, and I decided to do... I eventually went with no tires, I should mention, I think, but I did show right tires right there. But we would take the lead on the pit lane. So we get ready to go green, leading the Daytona 500. Daniel Suarez goes from P1 to P4 on the pit lane. So a very bad stop for him as there's only 9 laps to go here in the Daytona 500, and all of a sudden we find ourselves leading our first laps of the season. Right there behind us, the most recent champion in the Cup Series, Kyle Busch. Now the 2-time, now Suarez, it looks like he's trying to get really aggressive. They're going 3 wide. Unfortunately, that's not going to work for him. We tried that earlier ourselves, and we saw how it went with the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. We just kind of fell back. Now as we head down this back straightaway on this potential final restart here in Daytona. Obviously, we know when you lead, the pack gets really condensed behind you, and you have to be blocking 3 lanes pretty much the whole time, so it gets very tough to be able to hold on to the lead. And that's why I don't like leading at like this point in the race. I want to be running up there in the top 5, but I want to be the one making the move at the end of the race, not the one trying to hold off everybody. The 13 already trying to get to my inside. That was a very light block on myself. Then the 18 builds up a run there through the triangle, so I decided we're going to jump up in front of him, protect him, and now that middle lane is coming. So we got 3 lanes to block now. I go down to block the 13, and then as we came down this back straightaway, once again blocking the 13, down the back straightaway, then the middle lane, but then the 18 gets to my outside there as we did everything right for about a lap or so. But then Kyle Busch finally is the one to get us taken away from the lead. Now as we have a bit of help there from the 51 of BJ McLeod, as we're going to be 3 wide for the lead. Ty Dillon goes through to take the position. Now as Kyle Busch is still on the outside, Truex to my inside now as we're obviously just trying to make sure I don't get crashed at this point. Every Daytona 500 in our career mode has been an underdog victory, and Ty Dillon wants to do that again here today. Now as we came through down into turns 1 and 2 on lap 44, at this point as we come through out of turns 2, we actually get clipped there in the left rear by the 51. We hit the 96, and we're spinning all of a sudden down the back straightaway here in the Daytona 500, collecting Parker Kligerman, and all of a sudden our Daytona 500 has been completely turned upside down as the caution comes out with 7 laps to go here in Daytona there, as we had the 51 as a draft partner, and I just kind of moved up the track a little bit, and out of turn 2 I tried to get back down in front of him, and obviously we came together, and that clipped me into the 96 of Kligerman, and then everything went wrong from there, and all of a sudden our Daytona 500 just got destroyed. We would get back going here on the restart, but obviously in the back of the field with actually our teammate Kurt Busch, we couldn't do anything at this point about anything anymore. Obviously running in the back, like I said, Jimmy Johnson even back here as well, but we would just kind of move our way forwards, and as we came through down to just 2 laps to go, we restarted with 3 to go. I should mention now as we came through heading out of turns 2, running P23, we've at least rallied our way back forwards a little bit, but extremely disappointing as that just took a very quick turn, I should say, I guess. But Kyle Busch, though, is the story right now. He leads the way over second place of Daniel Suarez, coming to the white flag in the Daytona 500 here. Kyle Busch, this could be a big moment if he wins. He has got 75 wins right now in his Cup Series career. He needs 1 more to tie Dale Earnhardt, but Daniel Suarez could make it a historic moment here if he wins in Daytona by being the first non-American to win the Daytona 500. As we go down towards turns 1 up the inside of the 32 of LaJoie on this final lap here in the Daytona 500 up to P21, using that draft from the 20 of Eric Jones, trying to go to that outside, seeing that it's not going to work. We jump back down to the bottom behind Parker Kligerman. We make it 3 wide with now him and Jones as we make a little bit of contact there on the left rear as we go down this back straightaway for the final time towards turns 3. Kyle Busch, though, is going to hold on to that bottom lane. Suarez all the way to the top. It was going to be a historic story here either way if one of them wins, because Kyle Busch is about to tie Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator, as we go down this front straightaway for the final time. Kyle Busch just won his second championship, and he starts the season with a Daytona 500 victory here as we come through to cross the line in P18, and Kyle Busch has now won 76 Cup Series races, which, like I said, ties him with Dale Earnhardt Sr. now on the all-time wins list. So he's obviously just one away from hitting 77 and passing him, and then obviously setting his sights next on, I would say maybe Jimmy Johnson or so, who's in the 80s right now, the mid-80s or so. And I truly think Kyle Busch is going to actually hit 100 wins in our career mode probably before the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode starts. At least what I think. He's, 24 away right now from doing that, so it's definitely possible for him. So nice to see Kyle Busch get his first ever Daytona 500 win. Unfortunately for us, we were running well at the end of that race. Stage 1 and 2 didn't go like we wanted. Like I said, we were running well towards the end, and then just one little moment there getting clipped by our draft partner completely changed things around, and we ended up getting a poor finish. We're not even in the playoffs right now, but we're only one race down, so it doesn't really matter. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. I didn't have a quote after this race, but I'll probably have one for the next one. I might be experimenting a little bit, but I can't really tell you guys yet about that. But in the next one, we go to race number 2 on the season at Atlanta. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.